Hello, and welcome to Jason Cavness Experience. I'm your host, Jason Cavness. At CavnessHR, we're getting ready to launch a crowdfunding campaign on Refunder. To learn more, go to https://refunder.com/CavnessHR. Also here at CavnessHR, we're doing a hosting a pitch competition on July 25th. So be sure to check that out too. Our guest today is Dr. Youcef Abdelli. Are you ready to be great today?
Absolutely great. Thank you, Jason, for your time and inviting me in this podcast.
So first question, what do you do for fun?
A lot of things. Most of the time with my my wife and my kids, playing, in the water, and as well doing, some electronic stuff.
So your company recently participated in the Paris Air Show, right?
That's right.
And that's, I could be wrong, but that's a pretty big deal, right?
Absolutely big deal, for, first of all, for the aviation industry, as well for ZeroAvia, the company I'm working with. And we had, after 2 years, where the COVID and all the industry was really down, we come back, face to face, and that social human was absolutely great. So it was a great moment, to meet again.
So I know it's a big deal. What's the process of even like, do you apply to go? Do they pick you? What's the whole process like?
It's you can apply for Paris Air Show as an organization, but I think the aviation industry and even other industries like space and they can participate in Paris Air Show. We have different Paris Air Show in the like other air show in the world, right? Like in UK, in Dubai, and everywhere in the world. Some specific, they are more for the bigger airframer to sell, and to present, your novelty in terms of technology, but as well sell airplane like Boeing and Airbus. They use that platform really to get with the customer and to sign and, of course, to show a new contract with the new customers.
So the air show, I'm guessing, of course, like US, like different militaries are there. Like who's like the prime customer of the air show?
Yeah, this year I was really impressed about the US presence there. It was a big side in Paris Air Show dedicated for the US aerospace. Of course, the defense is a big part as well. The F-35 or Rafale from France and even South Korea. So a lot of presence for military, military aerospace weapons as well. Of course, the main purpose of that is to show the technology and where, how we are progressing as a community. So the product goes from the civil to aerospace to military. And we can see different, advances and progress in different, area and places. And just, we can spend a week. I spent a week there with our teams and, but as well, looking for other booth, what they are presenting and absolutely amazing the word how it's coming all together. It's impressive when we get to some other technology. So we ask a question, we challenge challenge ourselves, how you are dealing with that. And of course, the other side as well is to meet with the suppliers. A lot of suppliers there, they are presenting, their product to meet with customers and sign contract as well. So I think it's a great moment as well, to get all together and, and exchange. And it's really beneficial. It's just not like time we spend. It's really like
worth the time and money, right?
Yeah, right. It's and of course, it's whole week. This year was a bit tough in Paris, to get there with the transportation. So you are frustrated a little bit in the morning, but when you get with other peoples and you get some drink, and after that you walk you through the technology. Another space today was where we are coming to all these VTOLs and flying vehicle. Something which is really disruptive as well for the technology, for the world. So it was a big places as well, to see that big flyable vehicle.
And y'all plan on going back every year as often as you can?
It's each 2 years. So of course we like as a community, like a worldwide community, we need to avoid like overlap between, for example, UK last year was Farnborough, a big air show as well. This year is a Paris Air Show. Paris Air Show is one of the biggest, like, Airbus, Boeing, and some other people, like, they use that as a real like stand, like I would say like a gate, to show their progress, but as well signing contract. So next year I think it's going to be Dubai as well, air show, one of the biggest as well.
So for the company you were working, what's the benefit of going to these air shows? What do y'all get out of it, or what do you want to get out of going to these air shows?
Of course, so far it's a pressure for each company by itself, right? Like it's a milestone there. We need to show our progress to the community. So it's a big, I would say, podcast, right? Like, for the companies and, the supplier and even customer, right? And as well, it's a time where we stop the wheel and just to look to some other people what they are doing. So we walk through over all the booth and stands, and we see other people, their technologies. It's a time as well to meet with the large wide supply chain, where we I don't think even like in 2023 we have the capability to see and to know all the suppliers in the world, because we are working in a disruptive technology. So who's doing what's the maturity of the technology from the design to manufacturing, and that moment is the time to walk through and spend some time with people, and of course people come, go, and ask a question. A lot of a meeting with with the students and the new generation as well, to give them like what's the trend for future. So for example, like for ZeroAvia, we are working on the hydrogen. So hydrogen in aerospace, what all that does mean, how we are going to be in service, how we are hitting the market. What are our technology? Can we work on that technology? What we can develop to help you? Can we work together? All that is happening in a week, which is I found all the time it's a great opportunity. We help the people to get all together. Of course, during the COVID was a big trouble for all of us. We lost that contact, and it's not good, of course.
So for your supply chain that was there, what do you look for in people for your own company supply chain? Right? You want to make sure the values match, the culture matches, like the United States based. Like, what do you look for when picking your suppliers, so to speak?
Both, and it's a good question. First, the culture for sure, right? Like beyond the technology, we are looking for the culture, but as well, like how people that want to do business all together.
Because these aren't small contracts you'll sign these people, right? These are pretty big money contracts, right?
That's right. It's a long-term agreement as well, supporting as well the mission and the purpose, right? Like people, they come, of course, like in a few minutes, few hours of talk and discussion. We are not, we are addressing the business, but first of all, like who you are, how many people you have in your company, how you are addressing this and that, from the certification, from if we want to do some prototyping, can you help and support with that prototyping? And of course, like we will share the cake together later on, but first, can we progress in doing some some stuff all together? And people, they are pretty much like very smart and collaborative, because they know that we cannot sign just a contract and put like $1 million on the table. It's something we build together, And we have, today I put from my pocket, tomorrow you put from your pocket. And of course, the like what we are doing in the sustainability and, zero emission. So it's a new era of entire industry and business. So a lot of $1 trillion, they are out there. And we need just to help as well, I think, from the customer perspective, we need to help the supplier to give them a real vision. I can see small companies, 20, 30, 40, 50, even 100, 200. They cannot just, stop your production line and, and just work on a technology because you have a blue eyes, right? So you have to get them that trust, to work with you. And the culture is absolutely fundamental.
So I'm not talking about your own company, but what's some aviation tech or aviation stuff out there that's really exciting to you that most people don't know about?
I think from aviation today is the environmental impact, right? We are going from A to B. You take the airplane today, you don't even ask which airplane you are, and you get to your airport, you are looking to your smartphone, and you get to the guy and you forget even you took the airplane. Of course, you are a little bit tired maybe, but I think we are going to the place where we need to ask ourselves how many emission we are releasing in this nature, and how long that nature will support us in this earth. So I think the question is now, if I'm going from A to B, can I take a bike? Can I take walk? Can I take airplane? Is it necessary to take airplane? And we have to, flying is something which is noble, and it's absolutely fundamental for for people. But if we are not sensitive to that question, I think we are dumb people. I get, to the airplane, I get to the bus. I need to ask a question about, all that emission and how we are helping, the earth. So.
Yeah, I definitely think we take flying for granted now, because I can remember where I saw this comedian does a skit, right? He's in a plane, and and he said the guy next to him was bitching, complaining because the internet wasn't working fast enough. Dude, cylinder in the plane, give it a second, right? So we take so many things for granted now, I think, right? Just so we're used to it.
That's right. And time to time, yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. People, they are in the continuous speed, right? So we are not enjoying even I think the moment, right, when we get to the airplane. It's a beautiful technology, and believe me, I'm 15, maybe 18 years in working on these industries. It's absolutely crazy how that big metal things going in the air and just flying and going to 30, 50,000 feet. And just over the night you are in another country with another languages, and this is absolutely fundamental for us, for the community. We need that kind of transportation, and we have to sustain that. Otherwise, if we continue to run with the speed and the race we are, I think few decades maybe we cannot offer again that kind of that kind of transportation. And people, they need as well to think about, because everything looks easy today, absolutely easy. We invented the laptop, we invented the smartphone, we invented now the AI aspect. We are even not maybe thinking, right? Just and we are just maybe drinking, just maybe tomorrow machine will get the work done for us. Is it nice and great for a human? No. I think as you said, you don't have internet, great, I put my smartphone and I enjoy a movie maybe, and talk with some other people, and I get to learn their languages and their culture and why they are just getting in this trouble, and we create a sort of community. Now we are LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram stuff, and the social stuff is in my perspective, it's it's dangerous, I would say, not like that.
Can you talk about this? I don't think people realize this either. Like I think some people think the Earth's been around for 6,000 years. Some people say it's been around for billions of years, right? Regardless how long the Earth's been around, airflight started like 100 years ago, right? Which in the big scheme of things, like 0.01% of the timeline we've been on Earth, right? Can you talk about like how much we advanced that short amount of time as far as airflight? Because I don't think people realize that either.
Yeah, the airflight, you know, of course, all started with how much far I can go, right? Because, you know, just I need to build something, I need to look to something, and I have to explore something. And we found out that the Earth is spheric, so we can turn around and we come back to the same point. So, however, the place and the moment where we are, we found out we don't have all the happiness there. So we are all the time looking for what next, where is the next point. So I'm looking for South Africa, for Japan, for China, for all over the places where we can challenge times to times ourselves, right? Some people, they give up everything, you know, just to go to the far point in the earth. And come back. So that's like, you know, for aerospace, for the space as well, going, you know, outside and being people that are, you know, today paying a lot of money just to get outside of the orbit, you know, to see, is it really necessary? I think for the moment when we read that articles is, you know, what the point, but behind that, it's all about the technology we are building and bringing, you know, to the humanity. So I think, you know, traveling, going to the air, it's a really enable of a good life and simplify, like, you know, the life of a human. That's come back all the time to how we can avoid diseases and avoid, you know, illness and all that aspect, because we need to produce the technology that help us not to do the job for us, but at least avoid, you know, and treat the illness. Like by the end of the day, if we are in the good health and we can produce the amount of worth I can live with it daily to daily, and until I die, this is the point. Why I have to get, you know, $10 billion more? What I'm going to do with it?
Is there, of course, in my mind, like we're living the best times ever, right? I mean, all the tech stuff going on, all the advancements, you know, like life expectancy is going up, all the kind of stuff, all the metric you can look at doing better. But is there anything about tech that actually like makes you afraid, makes you scared for humanity's future?
Yes, I can see it through my kids as well. Like, you know, sorry for you. I think that each technology which can enable a sort of no thinking, that's bad for us. So I can see it, you know, today from the AI perspective, right? Like, you know, it's a great technology. It's awesome, fantastic. And we have to continue to use it, and we have to develop, right? A lot of, like, you know, philosophers and, you know, strategic people and all the stuff, they're saying that is going to be disruptive. We cannot control it. Yeah, getting, you know, some human or some robot like doing the job of human, if that, you know, break your back, why are getting that, you know, to get done by the human? So the technology is fantastic as long as serving the humanity. But I can see, for example, like, you know, my kids, they are using the AI today to think in their place. So I make a presentation, I do all that concept of presentation and gathering the data all together, and all this process will help us to be better in future. So being kid, adults, moving, you know, up to, you know, building a family. As we know, you know, our life, it's let's say at the max maybe 120 years. So beyond that, if we are using that technology to help us during our life, that's great. If you just to think about, you know, in our place, I think is not good, because we're gonna lose the we're gonna lose the memory, right?
Yeah, my concern is like, if you use like OpenAI, ChatGPT to argue information, like how you know that if the person who originally coded this information actually put the right answers in there, right? And how you know that person is actually a good person, like doing like value-based stuff for someone trying to like, take advantage of the technology, right?
That's right. I think, and I'm asking myself even the question because it's impressive how the answers today, they are accurate when we put from like we are in the beginning of all that era. And I can, sometimes I have even ChatGPT in my phone, and I'm paying even $20 a month for why? Because I want to explore that. And sometimes I'm challenging myself with the AI stuff. So I see it very fantastic because it's bring all that like information very quick. It does mean that we are not reading enough as well. We are not spending time to take a book and to read it through. The question is reading a book and reading 20 books. And if we are not summarizing all that books and learning from that, what's the point as well? So, and I got that discussion with my 13 years old, son. You just go through all Google stuff and look to the articles all together by one and make the summary and try to synthesize like all that information, put them in one presentation. And his point, like, if I have that presentation from the AI stuff and I have all the information, the final target is the same because I'm going to read it, I understand it, I can present it. So
I mean, it's hard to argue with that, right?
So, and all that, as long as we are keeping our mind open and we can argue, we can judge, we can, around what we are reading and writing, I think it's the contact even with you today with this podcast it's tomorrow we can automatize everything.
Yeah.
You can get, people ask a question, this robot and stuff. What the point? The point is going through all this process and helping, the human really to move on with a safe manner, and the machine is to do something which is hard. I think we previously we were taking camels and taking stuff to work. Now we have the airplane and we have cars and buses and bike. Doesn't mean we are like more stupid or less stupid. We are just using the technology maybe to build our muscles as well, and so on and so forth. Like the technology is one of the book I've read called the 0 to 1 from Peter
Thiel.
That's right. And it's absolutely fundamental that the extensive work and the intensive work has that a big difference between horizontal development and vertical development, right? So the technology is the enabler of any good life worth everything around the technology. We can copy past some stuff, we can create an industry, a business model around, but creating a technology is all the time fundamental for the human to move on. Some societies, some countries, they are maybe much in the innovation. The others, they are much in the taking some technology and copy that technology. I think we need to think all the time, beyond what we are expecting. Some of the people I was when I was in Amazon, like Jeff Bezos was, hey, at least the people around him, they were saying like he's living 3 years, in future. So the thinking model is what's going to be the world in three years, at least in 3 years, 4 years, not like 20, 100 years. And this is, it's great because we can see some leaders in this world, some technologist people, they're moving as a line, and the entire world, going, be behind them. So we have to be explorative and exploratory, people on that as well.
So this might be like too simplistic of thinking, but like, I remember when I was growing up, everyone, like, you remember phone numbers, right? You remember your mother's phone number, your phone number, like you remember like thousands and thousands of phone numbers, right? Now no one remembers a phone number, right? It's not what people are doing, right? So to me, I think it's a good thing because instead of using brain memory or brain knowledge, like, remember numbers, use it something more important. But I know some people think, well, no, you're still losing something because you're letting this machine do this for you, right? So it's kind of like a give and take, right?
That's right. And you have seen it like, when Google came, because you can see it like, at least in the old generation. Maybe it just we are just only perception, because the people in the in the past was they were using your proper memories to spend over, like, all this habit in the family and interaction between the society and the family and so on and so forth. Now we are putting that memory in the Google stuff, and I don't need to remember anything, because the speed of getting to Google, open Google, and looking to the information, I have it very quickly. And just like just coming to your studio here, I was you send like a lot of reminders, and this is the address, this is, I didn't even remember which the address is. I had to open Google, go to that aspect, because this is my memory, I'm using that memory, and this is bad. I will say it like because more we lose access to our memory, and that will give us less and less, like less space to memorize something, and we move on it. So the AI, it's like it's another step. I can see it as a challenge for us.
So let's say there's someone in this 2023 and somewhere, say in the year 1523, and they switch places. Who would have the advantage?
It's a tough question. It's a tough question. It's a really tough question. Yeah, I think I think the person take time to think, you're gonna get the advantage. We have this proverb: if you want to move fast, you have to slow down. And thinking, that mean we capture the moment, we think about it, and after that we advise ourselves to move to the right maybe direction. But if we are all the time in the speed, it's like a car at 200 miles an hour. We are not looking, and we are going to the risk. So for me, the any individual, any person take time to think, not like 4 hours for sure, but the minimum time to think about the task, and sometimes is to think about the details of that task, to provide the right the right answers and the right behavior moving on.
Yeah, I think both of them will have a hard time, because the person from 1523 to now, I think I overwhelmed the person, be like, what's a flight? What's a flight? You can fly now? Like, what are you talking about? Like all the stuff going on right now. I mean, I think it'd be overwhelming. And then the person going from now to 1523, like, imagine going for like all the luxury we have, like, something as simple as indoor plumbing, right? Electricity, right?
That's right.
And going to 1523, have a few other stuff, right? I think both would have a hard time.
Yes. Yeah, no, you're right. That's why it's a tough question. I mean, and it's all about like the experience and how we are coming from, and how how we look to the thing, if it's a risk or opportunity for us. I think collectively we are with all this speed of information coming, we are not taking the time to think all together. By the end of the day, all this information, wherever they are, for any human, wherever is leading the world, leading the community, leading the church, leading a mosque, synagogue, wherever, we are bringing the information to the community, to the children, if the children, they have small brain to absorb everything, what the point being even smart? If I have smart, I'm not thinking and talking, to my wife and or to my husband or whatever, what the point? The information is going to the speed of the new generation coming. And we are human. We are going through this life, spending a great time with people. And some of the time, unfortunately, like, bedtime. And, but we are trying as a community to help each of us, each country with another country. And by the end of the day, we are transferring, that knowledge to the new generation coming. So yeah, the speed of the information, if it's beyond what we can post-processing and handle as information, for me, it doesn't make any sense.
Can you talk about your process for deciding to become an engineer for your career?
Yeah, I think it was from the beginning. I was sure what I don't like. So,
and that's probably more important to know what you like, right?
That's right. I of course I was impressed about the for sure for technology. And I remember when I was kid, I was looking for, like, Windows and Apples and that technology. And at the time, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, and other time, more related to Windows and DOS and Fortran and all that stuff. So I was more impressed about liking, to code and doing some electronic stuff. I remember I had that TV for 60, and they have these transistors. And one of the transistors, like, my dad was like, yeah, it's fall down and we cannot turn it on. And so I opened this thing, big, glass thing, and trying with the dust, removing some stuff. Later on, I found out that one of the teachers, like, wow, be careful, because you have a big, capacitor there, and you could have, hurt yourself. So I was looking for all that transistors, how it works, and it was hard. So, and I started to look to the, to how I repair television and radios and all the stuff. And even the radio, turning that, like, that small stuff, and you have like the 90, the, AM, FM. At that time was not maybe like FM, but that gave me the desire to do something regard to the technology, which I didn't want, to do. It's and I'm sorry for the kids, like, geography and, and talking about, history. And I wanted to learn what the history is, but I wanted, to make something, which helped me in terms of technology. So that I started by repairing, some stuff at the time. And after that, I get with some other people more interested on that. And this is how the journey started with let's say software and electronics, where they are the door for at that time for the technology.
From your point of view, what makes someone a good or even a great engineer?
I think the capability to absorb the information, and as well the cultural aspect of it. I've seen, and I'm leading the I'm the CTO in ZeroAvia, so access to a lot of engineering. Outside of that, the people with the best culture, even they are medium in terms of knowledge, they're there where we can go very fast. I understand the challenges of the company. I link with the with our, like, CEO or director or the company strategy. So I link that thing I'm doing to the whole pictures. So the culture of how I live the presence, it's fundamental for any engineer. After that, the how we stimulate the information, how we create the value from that information, it's a matter of time and budget and, and evaluation of some risk, which I can put them in the programmatic, aspect, not like the technology aspect. But most of the people I like work with them, and I said they are great engineer, is the cultural aspect and how they report, the risk in terms of technology when they are stuck, and how they move on with the different trade-off, assessing different, solution A, B, C. Unfortunately, we are not teaching that in the, at least as a fundamental courses to what are the different solutions with regard to the risk and opportunities. And any problem, if we simplify it to to small task, they are all of them simple, but if you put 10 simple tasks, the overall task is complex. We have just to slice that problem to different small pieces. A good engineer for me is the culture.
Okay. So engineers, I'm guessing, and I could be wrong, like if you want to be a good engineer, you have to kind of think differently, right? You got to look at problems a different way than most normal people do.
Yeah, I mean, thinking differently, that comes from people, how they think differently. We are lucky enough to have different nationalities and citizenship, China, India, US, France, British, Spanish, all over the world. And your thinking, it's most influenced by your past and, what they are coming from, and the way they, times to times, how we teach them, to address, even the algebra or the equation or, so the thinking model, it's all the time, it's a personal for each one. But how we address the problem, some of the engineers, we give them the problem is they are taking that problem as a personal problem, right? And that's I think where the risk and the stress increase. If we take the problem as a collective problem, we have access to some other individuals to think with me and to help me and support me. So the thinking model has to, of course, we have to push the limit. Some of the people, they found they can get to the solution very quickly than others. Is it fundamental? Maybe yes, maybe no. But if we collectively we go to the solution as a group, and that's what I all the time I push the team to think is doesn't matter if how fast we are to find a solution, which is matter that we are convinced about the solution. And we disagree about from the when we do the trade-off of the solution, even we disagree, we have to commit, right? So this is one of the slogan and value from Amazon, which I really liked. That means you put 10 people around the table, 10 smart people, you have at least 100 of idea, and you have 100 of chance to get all of them disagreed all together, right? So you have a solution somewhere, and let's say we have one, how we get all together to that solution. The idea is just making, the selection by trade-off and assessment. I listen to you. I try, to challenge you. And if my challenge gets me to 50% of what I'm going, what I'm thinking is the right, I can disagree with you, but when with the group say, this is the solution, I commit with you and support you. Because once we find the any way, we have to commit as a group commando, we have to make it work and happen all together. And we wake up in the morning together and we go for it. And of course, the problems, they are not just one. It's a lot of problem gonna come and gonna go. So a chance today for you, tomorrow for me, and and we move on. I think the problem of engineering is not how he work alone when he work with a group, right? So, and I didn't see anyone in this world, finding a solution by himself and just making helping the community by himself. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. He has to present it to the people. So, and presenting to the people, that means you're going to be challenged. You're going to be maybe liked. You're going to be wherever. It's your chances to present it well, and we move on. We have to create I think the technology 50%, communication and supporting, and helping the community to understand what we are talking about and how we are helping that to get to the, for example, to the market.
Let's suppose someone's out there and they're thinking about becoming an engineer, right? They're they're interested in engineering, but they don't want to know they will do it as a career, right? What advice would you have for this person to make the decision of become an engineer or not become an engineer?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we are lucky enough today to, we are not like in the 60 and, the 50 where, going to ask was a bit maybe limited to some places. Europe was Europe, US was US, China was China. And so today we have a chance, to ask, our parents, our families, our teachers. We can go to even making the bridge with universities, making the bridge with industries, to make some internship here and over there. We have to find the time to work on something we are passionate with it. And you can find a lot of leaders in this world talking about the passion. And believe me, I think if I'm not passionate about something, I'm not working hard for it. So you are passionate to what you are doing today, and you see the purpose and that impact in the society. So if I'm doing, electronics, or doing AI, or doing software, or doing, finance, or doing, social, helping, supporting, or doing, health, and we name it, any function, if we are passionate with it, at least the time, I think I'm passionate with, just do it. You are not losing any time. It's just the time you are losing if you are not doing anything and you are not trying something, and go out there and try something. And if you think that this is not the path, it's absolutely a great answer for what you are looking for. So being an engineer, today, maybe it's the simplest things for parents to say, hey, go do this, because it's simple. So when it's come back to something where you need, more non-subjective discussion, is difficult for the parents, to and even the children, or whatever, the person and individuals, to find a kind of thread of an assessment about the subject. So I encourage my kids to go out there to try something, but you need to try. You have to do it. You have to go and spend some times, and because I believe in something, the time and the worth is limited of who we are.
You bring a good point. I think a lot of times parents I can't think of what I'm looking for, but they're not offended, but sometimes a lot of times parents know how to handle it when the kids are smarter than them, right? So I think, if your kid's smarter than you, it should be a blessing, right? You should be encouraging that, right? I just think too many people, if someone's smarter than them, they see it as a turn off and go against it, right?
Yes, and you are right, to address that point as well. I think I've seen, some. I'm coming from I give you an example where absolutely it was that a bit, at least we as between French and France and Algeria, The colonization in the past was like, France went to Algeria to stay 130 years there. So we created that bridge between North Africa and France and Europe. And the new generation, when they came after the 60, 70, 80, a lot of like, North African and African came to France to build, the of course, what we call after war. So the parent was making bridges and roads and, everything which is more manual. Of course, we had a lot of like, as well, people doing, more technological thing. But most of the parents came to, I work very hard, bring the bread, and I raise my kids. And most of them, they were like, speaking, Arabic and Algerian or Amazigh or wherever the languages they have, or Africans. But the kids were speaking, France and French, right? So you see, and I've seen it really like concretely speaking, that the kids were not talking to their parents. So, and you lose that communication, or at least that path of communication, to even to push the kid to do something, right? Because I'm losing the communication, and you feel that the kid, he was thinking he was more smart than his parent, unfortunately, because you don't speak that language. I have access to other people outside. You don't understand that outside, and you are getting access to that word through maybe from my eyes and my mouth. Imagine, for example, you go to the doctor and the kid, 5 years old, explaining to his mom what the doctor is saying. So we lost that we lost that link, and you cannot like push the kids to go to this or that domain. However, if the parent, they are responsible, really responsible, and they are doing everything they can, and they can show that they are working hard and not just like maybe screaming, the kid, they're going to be influenced to bring back that effort to them, and they work much harder wherever the places they are doing until they find their way. And I found some kids after 50, they really find, something they are passionate with it. And they earn money from 50 to 60 much than if they were working in the right domain from 20 to 50. So it's never late in any case for the human being. This is what I'm thinking. But my mom was not talking, French, and she said like, hey, wake up in the morning, make your prayer, worship God, respect your family and your kid and your parents, and I need you to be happy, and I need you to work on something you are passionate. And she was saying that all the time. And of course, the war and all the stuff was they calm down, don't go like 1,000 hours, like we're gonna be going to the grave one day, so go slowly.
Can you talk about this? Now you brought this up, like I don't think most people realize the relationship between France and Algiers, right? Because like I might be making that. I remember reading a book in history where Charles de Gaulle, there's like kind of uprising in Algiers. Charles de Gaulle from France to try to put it down. There's like uprising and stuff like that. And now I know in the news, like they're talking about a lot of stuff going on in France and so like kind of like burning it down, right? I mean, can you talk about that from your point of view?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. All the time, like, I think about that question, I breathe a bit, and it's more an unfortunate, like, the point we are getting to in France, Europe, and with what we qualify like, immigrant as well. I think the same question here in United States, but maybe different, situation. France, it's a great civilization, and it was one of the big colonization in the world, big in positive or negative, sense. But as a Portuguese, as Spanish, as British, it was a time where you take your boat, you take a commando, you go, you bring a word from external, to save your country, and that was like, in the past. So when we finish all these wars in Africa mainly, so of course French came to Africa and they spread the French language, so people, they are French speaking. Now the only thing I can be very happy, and I can create a word, it's within the country I can speak the language. And a lot of people, they live with the French people. And in Algeria, for example, if I take Algeria, the country I know a little bit more, is the French stayed in Algeria for 130 years. So we didn't develop only like we developed a lot of great things together, and even like very good sympathy, and even families, because it was like a very high merge between the both. And when French left Algeria in, I think, 61, 62, after the independence, a lot of Algerian people came to Europe to of course to support and help the Europe to after the war, and they built their families there, and so on and so forth, and they created the new the second, third, fourth generation. We can go through all the question about the racism and all the stuff, but we kept in mind that you are coming from the country where you were my colony in any case. So being being like Arab in France was all the time is something like a taboo. I don't know if we say it like we say it in English, but something which is still like we have a distance between two people. My wife is French, really like Christian, and and in the beginning with the family was like who you are Muslim, we are a church, and we start to understand the we are Christian and you are Muslim. We try to understand what's the difference between the both, and we found out after like a month and weeks of discussion that it's just like a line of difference. And that because we spend time together. But if you don't spend time, you found like all that delta in terms of culture between the immigrant and between the French. And after that, any problem, any issue, we put it for immigrant. You go outside, just outside here, you have some people, drinking, some alcohol, making some stupid thing. Doesn't mean that the nation or the origin of that people, they are bad. Yeah, we didn't take a time to address that difference, and as well talk about the society we are. And we are in the in a society, they have the Christianism as a religion, wherever it is, and you can practice your religion in your space with peace. And when you are outside, just collaborate with the people. So we create that difference, and now we are getting to the point where everything, all the time we have issues between the police and and between the of course the last event, unfortunately, we one of the boy got hurt, and that created a big humid in the society. And of course my parent-in-law, they are in my place, when we are talking about that, and you feel that, yeah, they are making a big mess. But why the kid got killed? And you get to this, endless, question and discussion about, the reason and how we do with that. I think we have to make a big effort about, French, Algerian, and all this, and of course, African community there as well, to to start from like a clean sheet, a staff, who you are, where we are, how we can build, because the problem is by the end of the day, in the other side, we have a war, and it can happen that we lose everything even together. So it's a big risk. We can be stupid and we lose our mind and we get to the third war or fourth war, whatever, what the numbers of wars today. So I think we need to reconcile all origins all together, and I think at least we duplicate what we have in the United States, right? Like it's all these nationalities, and they are creating one of the the biggest country in the world. So
yeah, one thing, my criticism, I think a lot of news people are disingenuous, right? Because if you listen to news, they make you believe that all these people just came from France recently, and they came within 3 or 4 years to destroy the country, but there's been an immigrant community almost 50 years, probably longer than that, right? I mean, Algerian people have been there for a while in France, in the French community, right? The news makes you believe, oh, this came 2 years ago, now they're turning everything up, right? And it's far from the truth, right? It's just disingenuous.
100%. And I think and you can see it you are trying to create a source of truth as well through your podcast and a lot of news now. I unfortunately through different even digital platform, we can name them and all, again, come back to the speed we are reading the information and post-processing, the information is the risk as well. So I'm not reading, different books to understand the origin of that. I understand, the religion, I understand that. And after that, I demystify that question. So I understand that the problem we are facing, the issues is this, is not because, the kid, he did that, which is, bad or good. But when it's good, we never talk about it. We talk only all the time when it's bad. So what you create like a sort of, conflict all the time. And the news as well, it's increasing of nationalism and in Europe, more general, from Italy to France to all Europe. And that will not help, in the humanity as a global, right? For sure, we have, from Europe side, we are thinking that we have a cake and we cannot share it because it's a small one. And with the African or maybe Syrian or whatever, Iraqian coming from other staff, and even today Ukrainian coming to Europe, we cannot share that cake because we are just limited and it's limited resources and so on and so forth. If we continue to think like this, we are shooting ourselves, right? I think we have an endless, cake, and that humanity, they are, by the end of the day, they are all of them human with, 2 hands and 2 legs and 1 brain. We are breathing at the same time and with the same manner, and God or whatever, created as we are today. And I can hate something, but if I hate it because it's hurting me, that's okay. I hate it. I cannot eat, for example, piment, whatever it is, because it's too spicy. I can't. But I cannot hate, people without even reading about what they are doing or who they are first and how they're going to hurt me and so on and so forth. So the press and all the news, they are creating that, space between all people, which is not good. And again, the speed of the information coming, it's impressive how is now you cannot even read, read the information in real time. It's 1 week after that. So even the emotional part is absolutely shifted. So we are like, just like a zombie.
So how much of the challenge you think is this? Like even in the United States, right? And of course, there's always anti-immigrant stuff going on in the United States, like laws against, back in 1920 against Chinese, against Italian people. But at the end of the day, we're an immigrant country, right? I mean, we have the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, like, bring us your tired of Puerto Rico stuff, right? And usually if you come to America, even though you stay in like your own culture, right? Eventually you recognize America, right? Where you come from. But like, it's like in France, Italy, Germany, Japan, Korea, no matter what, you'll never be that country. Like you'll never be a Frenchman, never be Italian, right? How much do you think that plays what's going on?
Yeah, I said to my, honestly, when I came to America, it's the, I really think and I believe it. It's the great country. It's an awesome, fantastic country. Because if you have something in hand in your brain, go ahead with it. So we don't have that obstacle for for challenging people for their color or for their, some places here and over there for sure. And we have to continue to work collectively with a certain level of intelligence, even in the United States. But the level of democracy and the level of freedom, the level of how you can get access, just if you want something, go get it with the respect of the community and then your limit, it's absolutely fundamental. And I love this country. I mean, my origin, which is France and as well Algerian, sorry, we can grow absolutely in Europe and there's no critic there. It just, we are still, waiting something where we have a distance between the collective intelligence and the individual and society. We still thinking that, sorry, we are thinking like we continue to build the country as we built it, 200 years ago. And I think is not the right thing, right? Like, the coming to Europe is difficult. It's difficult, right? Like, because it's of course the difference between maybe this is like another question or conversation, but United States, it's a big country and you can fly there, all of them talking English, and it's a lot of universities, from Atlanta, Georgia Tech, New York to Stanford to MIT to all of them. You have a wide large of space. In Europe, like 1,000 miles, you have another country, another thinking model, another language. So it's not easy to get all of them together and thinking about what's being black or white or Spanish or whatever it is. So I think it's difficult to be in Europe. Is not the problem of Europe and European. It's being of this old civilization where we need to address the future with the right question. United States, it's like maybe 300 years, and people they said if we need to build something, we have to think collectively, wherever you're Italian or stuff. So they did, or like British or whatever. They did some stuff in the beginning, but I'm just impressed about the everything. It's the leadership, the people, how they think, how they move, the religion altogether, how they are all practicing their religion with respect to each others. And I think the mission of being all the time the leaders and maintain that leadership get you to ask less question about some I would say maybe stupid things.
So you said before you're Muslim, right?
Yes.
And your wife's Christian.
Yes.
And how many kids do y'all have?
2.
So if this is too personal, of course I ask it, but how do your wife decide how raise your kids, like Muslim, Christian? You just lay information out for your kids, let them decide what to do or what not to do?
So like, you know, of course, like, you know, that question of like, you know, the difference, we have to address it. We address it in the beginning.
Yeah, one thing people don't realize, like those two religions are way more closer than they are different, right? I mean, people don't realize that they're way closer than they are different.
Believe me, like, you know, I'm specialist as well in the religion. So I've read and I'm interested in the religions, like, you know, from the the Torah to Bible to Quran to even like, you know, the 10 Commandments and all these prophets and prophet and all the stuff. And like, you know, when you know, just, you know, the Islam and, you know, came after, like, you know, the Christian comes after, you know, the Jewish, and all that comes from, like, you know, one God. And after that, the at least, like, you know, the prophet and the messengers we send, you know, to the people, to it was all the time to get the you know, the society to do something, you know, good for your lives, but as well help and support. And any religion was in respect and harmony, like, you know, I'm talking about, you know, of course, the monotheist, like, you know, religion, but of course, you know, Hindu and some other religion, you will never find a religion, you know, talking about, you know, violence and stuff, right? You can zoom in any book, you can find something about something, you know, critical, which is really limited to that context and time. Now we come back to the press and all the using, like, you know, the Quran, the Bible as, or the, you know, the Torah as a fundamental difference between the religions, but they are all of them the same. When you come back to how we address the family, the values, how we move on, how we work, how we help, how we support. And of course, if we have, you know, the heaven and the hell, this is the belief of, you can believe it or not, but at least, you know, you are making good, you're going to go to the heaven, and you are not doing something, you're going to the hell. You can address that question with a multi-thousand, like, you know, manner. And reading some of the books, even in the beginning, like, you know, Islam, when it started in Mecca and starting, you know, in the Saudi Arabia, the rescue of some of the beginners of Islam, you know, the Prophet and his people, they sent them to the church, and they got protected by church in the beginning. So, and that church, they said, like, you know, who's your prophet, and what do you think about Moses and Miriam and Mary, right? And that time, you know, Jesus is, and, you know, Mary is, and it was in the Ethiopia at that time, that big church. They rescue them, and they said, you apply your religion, you worship your God, which is our same God, and you are protected. So Islam got protected by church in the beginning. And we forget all that, like, communion between all the religion. The first, like, you know, you know, the Jewish, we call, like, you know, the Israelite, was the like, in Islam, if you lose all the Quran and you lose the Bible, you know, all the stuff, you use the Israelite as, like, you know, your fundamental guidance for, you know, for your life. So between the books, all of them, they are in one. The problem is the human all the time and how we interpret that. So my wife, in the beginning, when we started, was apply the religion, and I was applying the religion. When you practice the religion, where you find some difference there. For example, if you eat pork or you don't eat pork, if you drink alcohol, you drink alcohol. For the sake of the kids, and, you know, for your clarity, you need to avoid that difference in home. So we end up, like, you know, after that, my wife said, like, you know what, to get the clarity of our, like, you know, our kids and moving forward, I'm going to be converted to Islam. by keeping exactly my my values and, you know, from the Christian. So we accepted to go there for the clarity of the kids.
Okay.
So we could have continued absolutely fundamentally, just you know, it was some difference when can create some you know, hey, poke the fork, you eat the pork with it, I don't eat that stuff, and you know, and we wanted to create it like, you know, simple and easy for us.
One thing I don't think most Christians realize, like for example, I know Islam is religion. They recognize Moses, they recognize Abraham.
Yes.
I mean, they believe Jesus is a prophet. They don't believe he's God like Christians do, but they believe he's like with the ones that are high level prophets. I think right below Muhammad, I believe, or someone else. So like the similarities are just mind boggling if you take the time to learn about it, I think.
That's right. And of course, like, you know, the of course, like between Adam and in Arabic they call Hawa, which is, you know, the Adam's wife, and we created, like, you know, after that all the you know, Jacob, Joseph, and you know, Jesus, Moise, and all of them, all that name in Arabic, they are absolutely listed in the Torah and listed in, you know, as well in the Bible. And I think if I simplify it for me, I was sometimes we are working on the technology today, and we want to shape the culture and shape the society. So we create something new. When we create it, we want, you know, to keep it. So let's say I simplify all the religion to 3, for example, and I apologize for all my friend with the other religions. If I am Jewish in the beginning and I create, like, you know, that religion, and I'm leading the society, and I have another one coming after that, you know, for Christian, I wanted to keep it for me. So why you are bothering me in creating a new religion? And after that, they have the Muslim coming, and it's like we have another Quran. So another, like, you know, requirement, and another book and other stuff. So I think the transfer of all that was not, like, you know, maybe straightforward, and that created that frustration. And over the time, that frustration, you know, get bigger and bigger and bigger. And after that, we created, like, you know, countries with a certain level of religion. We create, you know, boundaries and, you know, stuff. And the human gets stuck in one, until we start to get, like, you know, I have no religion, so I can live with, and even without any religion, we call atheist in French, but I don't know, like, you know, the language and the word in English. So you don't believe in God. So which religion you are? No, I have no religion. So how we can discuss together? And I think the intelligence of people, you know, as long as you are worshiping, you know, this force, you call it God, you call it whatever it is, you are making, you know, something, you know, great for your community. I think this is where we need, you know, to come back. And believe me, a lot of times, we don't have answers for our kids. And the only thing, you know, is say, hey, the religion said you need to respect your parents. You have to respect them. My wife, she said, like, you know, I'm with the teenage now. I mean, is you know, he's not listening. You know, he's, you know, sleeping, and do your stuff, homework,
teenager stuff,
right? And it's like, hey, you want to get to heaven or no? Yes. So you have to respect your mom. All right. We can call it the values as well, like, you know, some other values, but sometimes I put it to the religion because it's the third force behind me, and it's like, you know, hey.
And of course, what's unfortunate, all the millions of people died, you know, with the Christian Crusades, the conquest of Islam, like all the people died way back in the day when they kept on going back and forth, like the Pope, Roman Catholic Pope raising armies to go invade the Muslim countries and vice versa. I mean, unfortunately, it's probably not a bad enough word for it, you know, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think we did like a lot of mistakes for sure. For sure now, like, you know, Islam as a religion need to demystify a lot of questions, right? And need to, of course, like a lot of countries, like, you know, unfortunately, this is the way, I think, not the good way. If you see a lot of, you know, Islam countries and they are in war. Because first we didn't find the time, to at least, to demystify the religion and explain the religion. A lot of like, a philosoph, I like them, doing a lot of, but go to the to the press, create movies, bring people, to that countries. I think, Dubai and Qatar, they're doing great, stuff, to combine between the new world and the old world. But we have to get out from that stuck point where we do that because the religion asks to do it. And a lot of time when you go in details, it's not that at all. So, and we need, to create that bridges between the new world and, and as well the religion as well.
So I want to bet when you agreed to come to this podcast, you never thought you would talk religion, did you? So moving on to something else. So you were just recently named to the board of directors of something called Jet Perfect Foundation.
That's right.
Can you talk about that some? Or what is that about?
Yeah. Of course, I got approached by Ernest. Is a great guy, and we got in phone, and he said, "Hey, can you?" He said, "Can you join? My foundation?" And it's like a no-profit, organization. They are here to help the society, and they influence in terms of making trade-off in terms of what the future energy for aerospace and gonna be. So and I like that really that concept of taking a time from our limited time to support that kind of initiative. And I discussed with Ernest, and I found like a tremendous guy about the culture, and speaking maybe 6 or 7 languages, and he speak French, Arab, he speak English, Spanish, Chinese, and Mandarin. So, and I was impressed more about the culture. And after that, we say, what's the mission and the purpose of the foundation? And he told me about the mission of the foundation, where I got attracted more. But the first one was the person, about his openness and culture, and at least a lot of effort on that. So and he asked me to join his foundation for as a, of course, in board of director, and we met one time. Of course, they are meeting I think each two times a month. The idea just a bridge between the industries and the universities. And the second is the work on the future sustainable aviation in terms of energy. It can be different source of energy, and how we put them all together to reduce the emission and make it sustainable. So something I'm doing with a lot of happiness in parallel of my work to support Ernest. First, it's a great guy and absolutely fundamental, that kind of people to take a time to think about, fundamental question. And the status of the organization is 501(3), which is not profitable, organization. So supporting the community, the industry, and why not the world to trade off and assess all kind of energy moving forward for aerospace.
So for your role in the board of directors, how do you see yourself providing value to this organization? What do you want to provide to them?
I think it's more the experience we are, we are we have, and maybe for the foundation, it's going to be maybe easy for me because I've worked on from the energy perspective in aerospace. I've worked on the batteries and flew different airplane with the batteries. And we flew in ZeroAvia with hydrogen fuel cell, right? Hydrogen electric. And I think it's easy for me to understand all the trade-off and the assessment between all that energies, from synthetic fuel to biofuel to batteries to hydrogen combustion or hydrogen electric. And in ZeroAvia, we are going because we believe that from the economic, from the sustainability, from the operation cost, the hydrogen fuel cell is the solution for it. I'm going to be amplifying that message within the foundation, but of course, without again, to demystify, to demystify that and show why it's is the solution for it. But within the foundation, we have a respect for people working in batteries and working in SAF, sustainable fuel, and they are pushing as well because they are thinking that the technology is the good one. I think we're gonna come back to exactly what we are looking for. It's having all that difference, right, and address all that difference for not the benefits of the company we are working for. It's for the community and the world. And I think when we address it like this, it's like, between Jewish, Muslims, whatever Christian, they are challenging yourself about your proper religion. But if we have a new word, what's going to be the religion? So, and this is fundamental for our like a human being. We are not machine. We are just a human, and we need, to move on with the right technology in future, and to get it, to get it in service, because we are all agreed we are absolutely late. And for our acting to reduce the emission. CO2, people a lot of talking about CO2, but we have 100 of emission behind even the CO2, which they are not CO2 related, right? And high altitude, for example, emission, it's a big problem and issues. And the aerospace industry is creating a big part of that, challenge. And we need, moving forward, it's going to be increasing, more and more. That means we're going to get the time and the point where even you start to act, it's done for you, is wherever it's late. We don't want, to get to that point. And we think it's time for us. And if we have to support wherever within the foundation, wherever the path, and we combine all our path to get to the right spot, let's do it.
So talking about your company, ZeroAvia, on there, I read it said zero emission aviation. Like what even is zero emission aviation? Is that even possible?
Yes, that's a good question, right? That's a good question. And that came from our, the founder of the company, Dr. Val Miftakov, PhD in physics and from Princeton, and a lot of time spent in McKinsey as well. And he's entrepreneur, with the real experience. And being, PhD in physics help a lot to understand, the delta, at least, and thread of that and I think, I joined ZeroAvia, which is zero emission aviation, right? So when I was working in other companies, I was looking to his videos and, as we are doing, today, and I was impressed about his message. How, and I was coming from a point where we, in a past company, we were talking to some customer, and we didn't have a holistic, answer for the question of how we can support the customer and reduce the pain they had, because we were offering half a solution. Within ZeroAvia, we are offering the whole solution, which is providing the propulsion system, right, to run the prop, and and the energy coming from to the propulsion system is coming from hydrogen electric or hydrogen fuel cell, right? So now what does it mean, zero emission? If you are providing any energy, and that energy coming, the production of that energy coming from the fuel, or you are making smelling, a fuel, that means the end-to-end solution is not zero emission. You can create, electricity today from like the nuclear. You can create, electricity from hydrogen. That hydrogen is converted. If it's produced through, let's say, I simplify it and demystify it. I'm sorry, maybe to get to demystify it a lot. If you have a solar panel, right? So you are bringing the energy from the solar, and you have a electrolyzer, right? You bring the water, for example. You're gonna generate hydrogen from that machine, where the energy is coming from the solar. So you are not using that energy to convert the water to hydrogen. You are not using that energy coming from another source or like a fossil source. So the end-to-end solution is zero emission. That means the energy used to convert the water to hydrogen after that through the fuel cell generate electricity, and that electricity run your electric motor to run a propeller. So the end-to-end is a zero emission. You are not emitting any CO2 and no CO2 emission. Some other people, they are burning hydrogen, right? Maybe it's a path they see it today, which is not disruptive for your business model. So if you burn the hydrogen, the production of the hydrogen, is it coming from the no fossil energies, like propane or whatever it is, or are you using really like what we call the blue and the green hydrogen, right? So as we are, like at least ZeroAvia, they are taking the hardest path, but at least the secure path for certification, but as well the right answer for zero emission end-to-end, right? Like in the battery today, you go wherever the world where they are bringing the lithium, you will see the disaster. And all this truck and all the stuff making holes, and so the fuel burning there. When you say I'm zero emission or I'm emission free, is it emission free? Is it because you are running your Tesla here today? You are maybe great time, but some other people are suffering. So I apologize for maybe the shortcut, because having electric car and EVs as well, it's good. We need to think about the how we are producing that energy. So more globally, like engineering, we need to think about it, and believe me, is not the easiest path, because producing the energy from the solar or from the wind or you need a lot of investments and infrastructure. But we are making that fight to improve our policies, to create the requirement and standard for it, to create a team, believe on that. And we have to get this to this, because otherwise we're going to be still flying, but burning hydrogen somewhere. Burning, that means you still you have a hot temperature, wherever in the altitude. The fuel cell hydrogen is just using the technology to convert the energy without any CO2.
So I know a lot of companies out there, they'll say, we want to be zero carbon credits by a certain amount of year or credit emissions. Like, how is even carbon credits even measured? Like, is that like a worldwide standard of measure carbon credits, or how is that even done?
Yeah, I think I'm not expert on that, but the basis of that, like Europe and United States and China, they have some some measures and equations to measure the CO2 for sure, like the carbon with a certain threshold of accuracy. Now if you're like, all this formula and stuff, are we measuring that? I don't think so, right? You don't have like, you have some sensors in some manufacturing stuff, but the impact, the real impact, we are not measuring that. We are just saying like, to create a machine, for example, this laptop, if you create that machine, you're going to use this process of manufacturing, these processes and stuff, these materials, and that is coming from, these materials, and that material create like, give you certain amount of carbon you are using. So I think it's more statistic approach, and with a certain level of equation, you can see today a lot of application using the the green leaf, right, in the will show you like how the amount of like CO2 you are emitting when you make your flight, for example, which is it's certain level, it's accurate, but what the accuracy does mean, I think the issue and the problem there, the human find another stuff. If I'm emitting the CO2, I'm still emitting, but they create another process to make a negative emitting, so you are like in equilibrium, zero. I think we are squeezing, our approach, how we are addressing that, that emission. So we are saying, let's do the hardest solution. You generate the electricity from really zero emission, end-to-end solution, right? It's maybe the hardest. Some of the people, they said, let's split it in the middle. Let's use the batteries. Some others, they said, let's burn the hydrogen. Some of them, there's less synthetic fuel. Some of them, they use a biofuel. We are saying, let's use the hardest one, which is, the secure from economic perspective, from operation cost, from the all the advantage we have. It's maybe the hardest one. We are making a investment on that and we're gonna get there, and we have to get there. I mean, it's the path where we found out like a few years ago was very hard. Now we developed all the technology in-house vertically, and believe me, we are absolutely close to the final goal.
So on y'all's website, there's a place that says the future of flight is renewable hydrogen. My question is like, how safe is renewable hydrogen?
It's a good question, and I think you asked me what's the question. Maybe we need to ask, and maybe not ask, but I would say the safety hydrogen, the safety of hydrogen, it's a misleading or misunderstanding of the hydrogen. So the NASA last time flew the sent in the space like all this like vehicles that are hydrogen powered, right? A lot of like vehicles in the world, they are like Toyota. When we are in the UK, we have different cars. This Toyota Mirai, I think, using hydrogen. So I think the safety of hydrogen is it's fundamentally like increased. Because we have all this like this accident happened in, I think, in 1923, whatever, or with all this ship took fire. I apologize, I lost the name, and we kept that like over the years and the time in our like collective memory. But today we are flying the hydrogen. We did a lot of like flight, and we are learning how we convert the hydrogen with a safe manner, at least in ZeroAvia. Some other people, they are flying as well hydrogen. We are sending in space a lot of vehicle with hydrogen, and of course the NASA last time stopped the launch because they have a leak of hydrogen. Question, is it safety or engineering question? If you have to tie, some screw and do some stuff and change some pipe and add some sensors, this is engineering. If it's a problem of the human cannot control the hydrogen, that's like, I would say the question we need to ask. And believe me, like, from the hydrogen, we are beyond that question. It's now how we can scale the hydrogen and create the infrastructure for it. The problem is the human, it's more and more, I will say, lazy today. And we did a lot of work in infrastructure to send the gas and the propane and the fuel to build the energy, electricity and gas, to your house. So all these pipes need to be, changed to the hydrogen, and we create like a new infrastructure, at least, from the industrial application. For aerospace, what we are thinking, it's the business model is support and help the airport to generate the hydrogen, and the aircraft, they are as much as close to your point of fueling and refueling. So we are in the dynamic to create our infrastructure on a lot of airport. They absolutely understand that aspect. We are creating the hydrogen in the airport and distributed that hydrogen with the most closest path to the airplane, right? What we believe that transporting and logistic of hydrogen, it's much critical for any industry and business model, because imagine a tank here just in Seattle and get explode or wherever it is. You have much drama and problems and issues than just producing in a safe far from safe area, far from the from the population.
So with gasoline, I mean, once you make gasoline, like you're gonna store it, I think, for a long time, unless the heat evaporates, right? And of course, once the gasoline is used in the vehicle, it's gone away, right? So life cycle is pretty long, I think. How about hydrogen? What's the life cycle like for hydrogen? Like, can you store it forever? You have to use it within a certain amount of time? How's that work?
Yeah, you can storage the hydrogen, and we are like, for example, today in ZeroAvia, at least, and some other people are using even for the car. You have like a small tank, and you can storage 5 kg, kilogram, 10, whatever the distance you want to go. And of course, the tank is a bit different from the normal fuel gasoline tank, right? Because you are pressurized that hydrogen. As you know, the hydrogen is the lightest molecule, or atom. So what we do, we compress to 300 bar, 700 bar. Is it a risk? No, absolutely no. And you have a lot of videos in internet, in laboratories we are shooting with really like a gun to see the spark and the explosion. If the hydrogen get to the air, it's lighter, so you don't have a fuel vapor. It's get to the air very quickly. The fuel and gasoline, kerosene, you have a fuel vapor, so you have more chance an accident with the fuel vapor gasoline than even the hydrogen. Second, it's the spark, how much energy you need to spark there. It's absolutely the hydrogen. It's the winner on that as well. So I think all the questions, they are more more engineering aspect, and supply chain and finding the right pipe and right socket or whatever. But they are not safety for for using that hydrogen. We have different form of hydrogen as well. We have a gas storage, and we have a liquid storage, right? So cryogenic, and the both, we are working very hard with different supplier and partners, and investments, to get to the level to storage, convert, produce energy, and use that energy to lift the airplane.
Can you talk some about the cost comparison, like over the life cycle, or to say gas or hydrogen or any other energy source, like the cost of making it, like is hydrogen like really like expensive to make, but in the long term it saves money, all that kind of stuff?
Of course, and it's a good question, and I will address it, with philosophically speaking. Of course, like today we have numbers. We have, I did some, like the experience in the UK and even in Germany when you refuel your tank, for maybe 250 miles or whatever it is, it's like 30 to 40 pound or dollars, right? And compared to 1 kg, it's maybe 13, $6, $9, whatever it is. And when I hear the question, I said, yes, it's a bit expensive today. And we need to work collectively to reduce that cost, because we believe in the mission that this is the way to reduce our emission. The fuel and gasoline, it's been 130 years or 200 years of that, that fuel. So the human found, had the time to reduce the cost of that. So, and today we have, the fuel and gasoline, they are like, 2 euros a liter in France, even the gasoline. So we are not without risk that even the fuel will increase, and get, expensive more and more. The war in Russia today with Ukraine got like, the crisis of that fuel. So collectively speaking, we say like, it's a bit expensive today. We create the infrastructure, we get more people working on this, and the cost systematically, automatically will reduce. Are we like, Toyota, they have a very good, with one tank, you can create 1,000 miles or 1,000, kilometer, whatever, they were using out there. And it's a safe machine and you are not paying, that much. The question is, are we willing to pay the same cost? One, you have 0 emission, the other you have full emission. Where are we gonna choose?
Yeah.
So and the tank I'm flying 250, and 250 miles, it's absolutely the same price. I can see it even today. So my question is, for my kids, can you do the same stuff with the same distance with bike, or do it with car? Can you do it with hydrogen or with fuel? And when we get to that, that understanding, and we can slow down a bit our speed, we understand that we are acting with the right manner for our earth and our environment. And it's not business. It's just think is business doing that. No, it's our our share of that, beautiful earth and planet, and we have to save it. And it's not like, American has to make an effort, Europe has to make the effort. Collectively, China, India, wherever, all of them, they have to participate on that with a certain level of participation. But we need, to make it work between public and private, as well, to support that, to reduce the cost moving forward. And we have in our business model, we see the cost of the hydrogen reducing, and absolutely, even with the data we have today, the operation cost, it's 40 to 50 to 60% less than conventional fuel for aircraft today, even today. So what's going to be the technology? What's going to be the, in a few years from today, if we work all together, we're going to be beneficial for sure. And it's a certain maybe effort, but we have to get there.
So in the World War, of course, we had the atomic bombs. After that, we had hydrogen bombs. Let's suppose we had somebody from the 50s or 40s that worked on hydrogen bombs, right? And they came today. Would they be like, man, y'all making good progress on the hydrogen energy? Would they be like, you're right on time? Or they be like, what are y'all doing, right? You waste all this time and you're nowhere near where you should have been, 80 years later, right? What do you think they would say?
Of course, I will address it with that way, right? 60, 70, 80, 90 was beautiful years for military applications. right? Where the military progressed, like even internet, like comes from the military application from the United States. And look to what internet today, what we are doing with it. And all the technology comes, a lot of great, big, absolutely fantastic for human comes, even for medical and health, comes from military. Because we put money, we put effort, we put time on it. Now, creating a BAM, to do hydrogen, I think, stop your BAM, don't work on that technology in any case. At least, from my personal and philosophical, because you are creating something, it's going to be killing the human, and we are creating technology to support the human. So if and to help the human, if the technology is a fruit of a disaster, no, because it doesn't matter. We are not creating that, for the purpose and the mission of the humanity. I think the military, all this, I take it like, the military, they use the military, I think, frame to get much money to invest on the technology. And it's fundamental. I think we are moving now from what we know and we have seen in the past to more provide capitals supporting now the technology straightforward with a lot of people like ZeroAvia doing the technology outside of the military. And the military now, they are interested to that technology coming from the civil. So I think it's a new era, but most of the time the military was associated to the public funding and to the to the states and and to the countries, and they put money to work on that. If the question is can we buy something which is dangerous for human, I would say no.
So the stuff you're doing is great, it needs to be done, all that kind of stuff. But is the world's public ready for this? And if the world's public is not ready for it, how do you convince them to jump on board, so to speak?
It's a good question, right? And times to times, you get to the, you are tired, to explain the how worth it to do that effort, because we are talking about the effort that more than the belief, I think. And the public today, for sure, the movement started from Europe about the environmental impact, right, and climate impact. So we have seen Paris, for example, climate meeting there, where with 2050 we said we need to reduce by that much degree, 1 or 2 degree, whatever it is. So I think a lot of countries took that as a challenge, and they need to work with it, because otherwise now Earth, no planet, no space, no place for human, and we need to believe on this, right? So Europe started with a lot of things. They were leading really that path, and paving the path from using the transportation with the sustainable manner. United States I think we woke up, and they woke up a little bit late, but they are putting absolutely the money to catch up. And with the I'm not pushing for any administration, but you can see this Biden administration at least doing a lot of effort from the sustainable sustainable energy. So a lot of effort there, a lot of public money, which is tax of each of us, and a lot of infrastructure and stuff to get done. China is catching as well. I think with a big park of EV and hydrogen as well. Believe it or not, in south of France, a big, project between Russia, Europe, America, and UK and Japan for the nuclear fusion. So you see, I think, beyond our difference, the humans start to understand that we are late and we have to do something, today, because the cost of energy, I believe it's going to be much bigger even than the food and even our, the water. We are running out of the energy in future, and the cost is going to be absolutely expensive, that we cannot get access, to heating or to air conditioning or whatever it is. So we're going to be, dying slowly and just, getting war after war to get the energy. So it's a disaster if we don't do something. And we know how the human can change, very quickly when he's hungry or, thirsty or cannot get to the comfort zone.
So from your point of view as your role as CTO, how do you think, how does ZeroAvia not make it right? How do y'all fail? Is it because lack of funding? You can't bring on the right talent to do what you need to do, public apathy, or what do you think will cause y'all not to make it, so to speak?
In ZeroAvia, I feel like, I found the purpose of my work, the mission of the company. It's fit absolutely what I want, to do. And the way, ZeroAvia, we started like a startup, and we are still working as a startup. So very innovative, transverse, collaboration, high speed, high race. You have what doesn't mean that we are not doing that big bureaucracy and, to validate something you need 30,000, staff. The CEO by itself, he's a PhD in physics. I'm a PhD in electrical engineering and, aerospace. A lot doesn't mean PhD, that's mean much smart. No, not that, but just to give you the idea, you can validate a lot of question with him very quickly, right? So you reduce all this a endless thread of and meeting and so on and so forth. So I'm very, very passionate with the work I'm doing. I want times to do more, for sure. Access to the talent, and the talent they want to work with for and with ZeroAvia. It's impressive, and that's of course the life of the company changed from 4 years ago to what we are today, flying different vehicle and creating that hydrogen fuel cell. It's absolutely the solution, and is working today flying. We are reaching our 10th flight in United Kingdom, UK, with the Dornier 228, showing that the hydrogen is working, and that attract a lot of people and engineering, which is good. A lot of interest from the market, from a lot of trust from our partner and customers, from our investors, how they are looking for the technology, scaling and going to market. So and we are in that early stage as a Tesla, and Google.
Exciting stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Is the headquarters in Everett or is it someplace else?
Headquarters is in California.
Okay.
And we have, of course, offices in UK and in Everett. It's the center of excellence for the propulsion system, and of course in future hydrogen as well. So
is the company run off California time, or how do y'all run the companies? How y'all do meetings and stuff like that? Is asynchronousness, or everything is off California time or UK time?
It's of course the time of the meeting, it's led by the program we are doing. So for example, today the focus is we have different of course different market segment, different program, and our major program today, two majors program, we call them the ZA 600, 600 kilowatt, and the ZA 2000, 2000 kilowatt, for example, and beyond. So a large aircraft, large engine, small aircraft. our organization is it's an aerospace organization where we have the aircraft integration and testing as our internal customer, and providing the requirement for the propulsion system, power generation system. So to both system and hydrogen management system, thermal management system, and a power distribution system. All of them, they are combined together around the aircraft integration, and the aircraft integration is based in the UK. So our customer is in the UK, and we start they are doing the meeting, like which is good with having a site in Europe and having a site in US. We have 8 hours difference.
How often do you travel to the Europe?
Almost like each month.
Okay, well, each month. Okay.
Yeah, I'm flying tomorrow.
Okay, well, thanks for doing this then.
No,
absolutely.
absolutely.
I bet you get some hell of airline mile.
We are, and much is because we have me personally have a team in the UK, and we do our leadership offsite as well, in the UK and in the US as well. So and we go there, to meet all together and to get, the human as well closest together, because something great with the technology and with all this Zoom and stuff.
I mean, remote work's the way to go, but there's something about being in person, right? There's something you just miss by being in person, right? Like, I don't believe you should go to work every day in the cubicle Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, but I think there's goodness and value to getting in front of people, like, doing 100%, stuff like that.
100%. And even the gesture, like, you are making some stuff, you are not happy, and you make like this, people understand, in the table that maybe you are, you need more data to get to the point, because and it's fundamental for our, like, healthy and, our health and our collaboration. So I fly in the UK, to the UK there, and fly to California. And of course we are flying to our supplier and partner in any case. So it's a challenge, but an opportunity as well when we have a multi-site, for sure.
So this next question, we could probably do a whole podcast, this next question, right? But can you talk like a 10,000-yard view, like going from Algeria to France, from France to the United States, like, like immigrating those two countries, any like culture, like a challenge you had, all that kind of stuff?
Sure, absolutely. And it's a great question. And as you said, you can create like a whole topic about that. My family was in France and was in Algeria. So we were flying back and forth between Algeria and France. It's when I was young, I was using it like as an opportunity between France and Algeria. When you are angry, you move from that place to another place, and you can say, hey, this government is good, and these people are good. And you found out 15 days after that, as the other government, other place are as well good. And we're doing that back and forth. And I grew up like in between Algeria and France. So did study in Algeria, did study as well in France. And I think I between Algeria and France, I spent like, more than maybe half of my, years maybe in Algeria, half of my life in France.
And what language they speak in Algeria besides French?
They speak, Algerian, which is Arabic, French, Berber, right? Like, before, Arab came to North Africa, was Berber there, and Amazigh, and even some German word, Spanish word, a lot of, so it's more Algerian. But of course the main language is like Arab.
Okay.
Like, it's a bit weird because, Algerian, for example, it's half maybe Arab, half French. And, for example, like, hey, catch up the train is like, catch up, maybe like, Arab, and train into French and go, bring me into the water, it's impressive how we are badging. I think Algeria, like, the specific for Algeria, because I talk about it, like they have seen a lot of external people coming, right? Berber there was there, and after that Phoenician, and after that German, and even American, French, Spanish, they can, Portuguese, Italian, all of them, they make, wars and came to North Africa, and now we have Chinese and Russia. So it's a place where we're living with a lot of like external civilization. So a lot of in at least like when I discuss with my mom, she's like, a lot of wording coming from different places. Some of the time I cannot even understand, but yeah. In France, like, I spent like, there where I know my wife, and, I get my kids. And after that, the 2018, we took, the plane to come to United States.
So 2018, so pretty recent to come to America then.
Yes. We came here, like, I came for a company called MagniX. I get to know the CEO, Roy Gazarski, a great guy, a great person. And I met with him in Australia, where the company was, and just, hearing his speech, and, very good narrative, and great, person in terms of how he saw through the technology at the time in MagniX can really change the world. And I was impressed about, he's from Seattle. And I was impressed about, like, his capability to see 10 years beyond what we, at least like what we see. And he just convinced, they convinced us, to come to Seattle, and he helped me a lot in the beginning. You come from France, we are more debit card, not credit card. And you don't have this credit score, and you don't have that money in the bank, and you cannot get access to anything. And he was tremendous help with his wife and his kids, to support my family. And he showed me, he's a Jewish. He showed me all the halal restaurant, so he bring me with his wife to Afghan, I think, staff, and some Lebanese. He showed me a lot of places, and I worked with him for 2 years.
How often do y'all go back to France or back to Algeria?
France, like almost, like maybe almost 4 months, 5 months. And Algeria, like I was, when I came to United States, and of course with the COVID, I think it's been maybe 3-4 years, but one day I got a dream that, my mom is dying. So it was, I got a bit scared. And 1 week after that, I took the airplane and went, there to spend the weekend.
Yeah, that can be a big motivator to go see your mom. You have a dream like that.
100%. So now I'm doing like, in the 3 last month, 4 months, I visited maybe my mom and my dad, like, for a weekend. I jumped there for a weekend, spent some times, get some tea and, some coffee with them, and just flying back. So,
so how was the culture shock from France to here, especially for your wife and kids, right? Like I was in the army for years, spent some time in France, Germany, right? It's a different culture, different mindset, right? How do y'all get used to like the culture here?
Yeah, it's I think, in we have a certain level of difference for sure. Like, the at least, the thinking model, the people, they are more free to accept the risk in the United States, right? They are not afraid about the risk. So they have as well the culture of you fail, it's part of your life, and you succeed, and no problem. I mean, it's part of the life, to iterate on the even in the technology and the product. The fail, it's part of your life. In Europe, it's the fail, it's not part of the life. It's you have to succeed all the time. And the difference of thinking is a bit different as well, like, between United States and Europe. Germany, Spanish, France, they are all of them the same. British, all of them the same in terms of thinking. And you can see it, like, of course, like, Europe, they known as well, like, they have known a lot of, like, wars. So all the time we're afraid about, what happened when the war come and after the war as well. So I think that it's still in the collective, like, memories about the about how we address the failure. I think the last 10-20 years is the big challenge for Europe, for sure, where we'll see a little bit slow down of if I compare, look to France, for example, like, we did, the TGV, right? We did, like, the Airbus, of course, with the Europe. We did, like, the Rafale and military, stuff. We did a huge park of nuclear things. We want, to space. A lot of technologies where we can see today it's slowed down and just more, we are more maybe introverted, like, maybe thinking model today. I hope that United States keep doing, that aspect of move forward and leading and continuing, to invest and because the challenge they are absolutely, like, big, and get that, like, all the time, the American dream, like, you need to find something where you want, to as well to go. If the world is all similar, it's maybe boring. So because you don't challenge yourself, and if they are speaking the same language, it's boring, I think, maybe from my perspective.
So since your time in Seattle, do y'all have a favorite Algerian restaurant y'all go to?
Oh yeah. We'll
give them a shout out real fast so people can go there and check it out.
Yeah, I of course, like, I look first for, like, some halal restaurants. So, like, you have this Tanur, which is a Lebanese in Seattle and Samish. So I bring times to times the kid and my wife, to enjoy, like, halal meat, but as well, like, baklawa and some tea. You have the 8 Row, a great restaurant. Not far from here. Great Row, 8 Row. It's an awesome restaurant with where the chief, like, each season provide the meal for each season. So you can each 3-4 months you have absolutely, like, a different, like, menu than what you have experimented. Some others more, like, Indian as well. Great restaurant here, but Seattle, it's a very cosmopolitan in terms of restaurant and great places to share sometimes. Another one, like, Duke's,
okay,
fish,
yeah,
stuff. I love love it. A lot of great menu there as well, and a lot of fish.
Is there, like, any, like, really good French restaurants people should be checking out?
Unfortunately, no.
Not really.
No, not real. Like, and we look to. I mean, I think maybe some,
so if you're a French restaurant, there, step up your game so you can impress this guy right here.
Maybe, like, one of the business we're gonna do. I think it's for sure we have some restaurant French, but I didn't see, like, in real one which come, like,
nothing authentic or really genuine. Like, okay, like, I taste this food. I can imagine being back in Paris, France, when I'm eating this.
Yeah. Last time when we were in Paris Air Show, I was really happy to bring, our like, British team and American team as well, there to really, like, enjoy Paris, like, restaurant, very Thai, and, the coffee and all the people around coming in. And it was as well the week where we had the festival of music. So it's the 21 of June, the changed to summer, and it's a festival of music. So you have a music starting at 5 and end at 4 a.m. It's all the night. You have a music everywhere, external people doing a lot of musics and a lot of people, and we get outside and we drink some cups and eating a great restaurant in Paris, where of course in France it's the great food is there. So
yes. So is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't, or anything else you want to talk about?
I think you cover all the topics, but you cover all the topics. I think maybe it's maybe question about about are we going to, is it the word good and bad today? Are we the question of yesterday was good and today is not bad, is bad, and tomorrow is going to be more bad? Maybe it's more question around that stuff. And I think we are absolutely better than yesterday. That's what I say. And we are going to the great time with the humanity and people. So more question for that, because people a lot of time they see the bad thing, but not the great thing, with all this technology coming and all this living more time than our ancestor. It's absolutely fundamental. And times to times we don't have everything we need, but we are going to the right place for sure.
Can you give us your social media so people can reach out to you if they want to?
LinkedIn. So in LinkedIn, Dr. Youcef Abdelli, it's the best, the best place, to reach to me, and send me any text and in LinkedIn, and I'm gonna for sure answer. And after that, we develop a channel of communication through Gmail and through even my WhatsApp. So, and I'm all the time respectful for the messages in LinkedIn. I answer all of them, and believe me, we have 1,000.
I'm sure you get a lot of them.
A lot of them, but I answer all of them.
So we covered a lot during our talk. Can you take this last opportunity to give us any advice, any wisdom, anything you want to talk about?
I think I encourage what you are doing. Absolutely, I love the way how you bring the subject all together, and you bring different people to talk about different different topics, which is great. We need to support as well and help the new generation and engineering and all people to find the way and the path. And of course what you are doing with I would say meeting with the entrepreneur and creating a pitch to support people and small businesses to create your business and grow up in such place. So I think you cover everything, and I was really, really happy to share some time with you. So
thank you very much. Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And to our listeners, thank you for your time as well. As a reminder, we're doing a crowdfunding campaign here at CavnessHR. To learn more, go to https://wefunder.com/CavnessHR. Also a reminder, we're doing a pitch competition on July 25th down in the Wartime Maritime Incubator. So it's open to all startups, regardless of stage or revenue, and also small business. You can pitch from 3 to 5 minutes using, you can get up and talk for 5 minutes about your business, fly a drone around, whatever you want to do. And we have some great prizes for you. So thank you for your time, and remember to be great every day.